Now, preparation of your work. How to start, how to step into it. First, very important, some logistics around it. Once the date and the venue is clear, clarify the venue location, the size, the shape. Sometimes we have presentations in a room that is rather long, like a meeting room. Sometimes it's rather wide, like a lecture hall or audience. Find out about this. Go to the room in advance so that you know, that you have a visual impression of how this will look like. Be clear what building, what floor, what room. It can sometimes be confusing, especially if you're allocated to a room where you usually haven't been hanging around. Don't get lost in the minutes before your presentation. That's the worst timing of finding new spaces at the university. Also, clarify in advance, where's the washroom? You might need it. You think you are cool, maybe you're not cool in that moment. You might urgently need to go, prepare yourself, whatever. Make sure that you know where's every facility that you might need. Also think about and find out about what's the size and the location of the screen, the canvas, where's the projection space, like here, this little TV next to me. Where will the audience be? How many potentially? So that you are prepared for this and that you can define as a team, where's your place to stand? Where do you want the team to be? Where do you want the presenter to be? Yeah? It's some of the awkward moments when you have 3, 4, 5 very nervous people stepping on each other's toes because they're all crammed into a small space, just right next to the presenter's desk maybe. No need. Look at it beforehand and clarify as a team how you want to arrange yourselves physically in front of the audience. Yeah? That means go there before the actual day. Do that as part of your presentation preparation to say, okay, we don't want any surprises. We have to check it out first. And no surprises, another part of that is clarify the technology. What presentation opportunity do you have there? Do you want to download your presentation maybe to a teacher laptop that is in the classroom? Do you want to bring your own laptop? How to connect? Do you have a presentation on a memory stick? Yeah? All these things you need to clarify in advance. You need to prepare a couple of fallback scenarios so that at the day when it's up, when it's your time to go to the front and start sharing, actually your time is running. If you then start clarifying, oh, this laptop doesn't have a USB port, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, I forgot the password for my iCloud. All these things are unnecessary in the moment when it's actually your time to shine. So clarify all these things before, try it out and have a backup plan. Usually the rooms are accessible. You can walk in after hours if there's no classroom, no event in the room. Bring your machinery, plug it in, see whether it works to your liking, to your satisfaction. And then as part of the preparation, of course, from a content perspective, prepare your talking points. What is the content, the essential information that your audience needs to hear? Present, in that first part, present the main questions, the hypothesis that you're working against. Provide your results in a conclusive way that is scientifically okay to justify your results and your claims. Also think about what are the non-essential contexts that help explaining. Yeah, have them ready, but don't go through all of them. Yeah? Be prepared if there's a question, if something needs clarification. Be prepared to answer such questions, but don't include everything into your presentation. Yeah? Always think about what is really important to share and what potentially could be asked by your audience, especially around the points that you say, this is something new, this is the special thing we tried out. Of course, there might come a question, why did you think that your method helps? Why did you do it exactly in this way? Yeah? Be prepared to answer, but don't put all answers in your original text. So all of these content parts are as per the guidance that I showed you in the planning part. Other part, of course, of the preparation for the actual presentation, create your slides. Start with simple slides and stay simple if possible. You don't have to have fancy, super animated things are flying in, flying out with tones or anything. That only distracts. Keep it simple, keep it to the points that you want to make. Also use a proper language and a consistent style, especially if you sort of stitch things together from different people, if you have agreed on who is doing what. Use the same template, use the same style, use the same thing so that at the end your presentation looks like one presentation that just has a consistent theme to it. Of course, use graphics where it is helpful to explain. Use text where you want to make sure that the audience has something to read, to just rest on a very important topic. But as I'm trying here, just a handful of bullet points. Don't put an A4 page of text on your slide. It will be too small, it will be too much. No one will be reading it. People in your audience will just think, oh wow, this is not for me. I cannot follow anyway, so I switch off. Yeah? You don't want that. Keep it simple, keep it accessible, keep it, of course, related to what you are talking about, and don't do fancy things, except they might be actually part of your work. If you have done an app that has a super fancy graphic visualization of something, of course you can show that on your slide because that's part of your contribution, that's part of your work. But other than that, no need to over visualize, to over illustrate some points. And if you are following these guidelines, you will actually see how close your presentation, the flow of your presentation and the individual contents of slides are to what you want to say. Because if you first clarify, what are the points that I want to transport to my audience? What was the work behind doing that? How do I want to put that on a slide so that if I'm standing there, I can talk about what is on that slide. You need to know what is on your slide in order to be able to present. And if you're doing all this, you will realize how useless generative AI, ChatGPT or whatever is in actually preparing a slide deck. You can always ask ChatGPT to create 20 slides about something, but you will have to talk about this. You don't know what GPT was thinking, was not thinking anything, but what was going on inside of it to create those slides. And now you have to defend this. You have to stand there and sell this. This is not good to do. I never like to talk about slides that I did not make myself, because creating the slides, deciding exactly what to write, the words, the content, that's already half the effort of preparing to present it. Because if you put that work in yourself, you will know what you wanted to say. You don't have to rehearse that just to be close to the content of the presentation. You still have to rehearse, and we come to this a bit later, but if you do the job yourself, you're already halfway through the effort that you need to give. As a team, prepare a proper division of labor. Assign the talking points to the people who like to talk and to work about on these things as you have done throughout your project. Everyone has, hopefully, during the project developed some expertise in something. And if you have an app or something programmed, it should be the person programming it to share what it does. If you have had someone who was doing most of the literature research or so, that should be the person sharing about, this is what we want to do, this is what others have been doing, and that's the difference between the two. Yeah? Be clear about this for yourself, for your own division of work, so that every presenter feels comfortable with what they will present. And if there's any gap, if someone needs to present something that he or she didn't actually work on, then make sure you know enough about the topic, that you are diving into it, that you are digging into the details, so that there is no gap in understanding. You don't want to realize that you do not understand what you are talking about in the moment when you are talking about it, or when a question comes about this. Yeah? So make sure you own the topic that you are presenting. As mentioned, that typically is aligned with the work that you already did during your project. Yeah, that's the easiest part. If you share about what you actually personally did contribute to this project, then you have a very good allocation of work. Okay, more about how to prepare and practice and actually execute the presentation in the next video.